Bitcoin's going to the moon. Everybody's talking about Bitcoin. But when? When should you buy? When should you buy Bitcoin? Talking about the key things, the rules behind investing in Bitcoin and how you should buy it, when you should buy it, and all of that fun stuff. Talking about it right here in this video. Don't be a sucker. Don't be somebody who ends up buying the top and selling the bottom. I'm going to talk about it right here in this video, so make sure you guys stay tuned. What's going on, guys? Patrick here, and today I want to dive into the idea of investing in Bitcoin, when you should be buying, when you should be selling, and all of that fun stuff. Obviously, Bitcoin's made a drastic move recently from the $4,000 area up there to $10,000. The media has been talking about Bitcoin. Everybody's been talking about Bitcoin because of things that are coming up soon. You got the halving. You've got the idea of the Fed printing and printing and printing, and this idea that maybe Bitcoin could be a asset to fight inflation. You also had a hedge fund, Paul Tudor, talking about Bitcoin as well. So the media's talking about it, CNBC's talking about it. Bitcoin is definitely going up in terms of Google searches. Everybody wants to know what's happening with the Bitcoin halving, or the halving, or the halvening, whatever you want to call it. So the one mistake that a lot of Bitcoin investors make is not the mistake of buying Bitcoin, but it's the mistake of when they buy Bitcoin. So a lot of people that I know, they ended up just basically not talking about Bitcoin, not looking at Bitcoin for the past few months because nobody was talking about it. There was no FOMO, there was no hype. Other than Bitcoin crashing from 9,000 down there to 4,000, really nobody cared about it. No one talked about it other than the idea of maybe Bitcoin just going to zero. But now, all of a sudden, guess what? Bitcoin's back up there at the $10,000 area, and everybody's like, well, maybe I should buy some Bitcoin. Maybe I should become a Bitcoin holder when it's at $10,000. Now, that idea goes against so many principles of investing. Why would you buy something at $10,000 when you could have bought it, a month ago, 2 months ago, for half the price? Would you go out and would you buy a car today that costs $50,000 that you could have bought $25,000 a month ago? Probably not. But the problem here is people get FOMO. People get excited. People want to buy because they see Bitcoin going higher, and they're like, well, I need to buy some of this cryptocurrency because maybe it goes to $1 million tomorrow. But I'll tell you one thing. And I'll tell you one secret. If you get one idea, if you take one idea from this video, one simple premise, it's never to buy Bitcoin on a green day. Now, I know that doesn't make sense because if you're a new investor, you're like, why would I want to buy something that's crashing? Why would I want to buy something that's going down in price? But you have to think like an investor. The old saying, buy when everybody else is fearful and sell when everybody else is greedy. So this is a perfect example of that. Bitcoin went from 4,000 to 10,000. For everybody who bought at 4,000, well, they're like, hey, I'm up over 100%. I'm taking a little bit of profit. I'm not going to be greedy here because I know one thing, and I can tell you one thing that is a for sure thing, is that at some point, Bitcoin will pull back. And guess what? It pulled back. So Bitcoin, what was it, last night or the night before, whatever, it went from 10,000 down here to $8,000. Now, I made a video recently here on YouTube talking about how I was buying Bitcoin at the 4,000. Then I made another video talking about how I was still long at the $10,000 area. And I talked about it in the video. I clearly said it. I clearly said that the $8,000 area, where that 200-day moving average is, that blue line on the chart, that's where Bitcoin needed to touch. I think if Bitcoin can't break over that 10,500 area, we're probably going to get a pullback back down there to the moving average, which put us at a really nice spot for maybe another dip buy. I don't know, maybe if you got extra money, maybe I'll look to buy some more at the $8,000 area if we do kind of use that 200-day moving average as support. It needed to pull back. Everything that goes up needs to pull back. And now I feel really, really good about the idea that Bitcoin touched that 200-day moving average. Does that mean that Bitcoin can't go lower from here? No, it does not, because obviously when we look at a chart, and we're looking at the chart when it's like this, right? We're looking at just this picture on the chart right now. It looks like, wow, Bitcoin's going higher and higher, cool. But when we zoom out, guess what? It's a different picture. Now, if I draw lines on this chart and I look at it like, okay, look, 14,000, 12,000, 10,500. Yeah, I can clearly see that we're still in a downtrend. Even though we hit 10,000, we're still in a downtrend. So there's always a possibility that Bitcoin could go lower from here. And that's one thing to always remember as a investor of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency in general, is that there's really no rhyme or reason sometimes. Sometimes Bitcoin just wants to pull back. It wants to crash back down. And that's totally fine. But one thing that I'm noticing here with this chart, this is the Bitcoin daily candle chart. So the one thing that I'm noticing here, the pattern, is look at this. All right, back in 2017, Bitcoin went from 900 up there to $20,000, $19,000. And look at the 200-day moving average, right? The 200-day moving average was just ramping up. But look at this. This is something a lot of people don't talk about. This moving average goes up here. It pulls back. But what are we getting here, this moving average? We're getting I'd say a higher low. Because the low on this moving average was down here at the $800 area, $1,000 back in 2017. And look at it there in 2019. The low, that moving average, was 4,000. Ooh, now you see what I'm looking at here, right? You see what I'm looking at here. And if you go here, obviously we had a kind of high, we had a lower high here on this little spike with this moving average. But if you look closely, guess what's happening? This moving average is starting to curl here, starting to ramp up a little bit of a ramp up there. I don't know if you guys can even see it because the computer doesn't always show the lines so well. But that blue line there's a blue line. Hopefully you guys can see it. There's a blue line there. This pullback from the $9,600 area pulled right back down there. It touched the 200-day moving average, and look at it now, bouncing right back. So obviously that's a sign that there were buyers sitting there at the $8,000 area, that whole dollar area, the 8,000 200-day moving average. There's a lot of stuff going on there. You got $8,000 is the whole number. You've got the moving average there as well, a 200-day moving average. And if you go way back on Bitcoin, you can see, I can't even get way back. But if you go way, 2013, 2014, the moving average has always played a very key role in the price of Bitcoin, right? Played a very key role. Not just because it's a magical line on the chart, but a lot of traders and people are watching those moving averages for either a place to buy, a place to short, or a place to accumulate. Accumulate. I like that word. So that's what's happening with Bitcoin. So back to my idea of when you should be investing, what you should be investing. First off, only invest money in Bitcoin that you are willing to lose, right? You never want to invest money in Bitcoin that you are worried about, that you need to pay your rent with, or you need to gamble, or anything like that. You need to only invest money in Bitcoin that you're totally fine with losing. Because what that is going to allow you to do is it's going to allow you to hold through volatility. It's going to make your life much less stressful. Could you imagine putting $100,000 into Bitcoin and only having $100,000 in your bank account and being like, well, here we go, crossing my fingers. I'm buying at 10,000. Hopefully it goes up. Well, now it pulls back, and guess what? You're the first person to start selling. You're the guy who buys at the top and you sell at the bottom. So only invest what you're willing to lose, and that way you're going to be much safer and much more confident in the overall idea of investing in Bitcoin long term. Another thing you should really focus on, like I said earlier, is look for red days. Look for the pullback. Don't be a sucker. Don't be the guy who buys at the top and sells at the bottom. Look at this. All right, we went from 8,000 down there to 4,000. We bounce back, and it's like, oh man, I missed out, right? I missed out on the move. It's going higher again, but guess what? It pulls back here to the 5,000. It goes to 7,000, 6,900 area. Guess what? It pulls back again. It goes up again to 7,300. Guess what? It pulls back again. It's natural. Pullbacks are natural in any type of market, cryptocurrency, stock market in general. The idea of me wanting to buy Bitcoin when it's up big on the day. Like when Bitcoin's up 5 or 6% on the day, why would I want to buy it? Why not wait for a pullback? Like today, when Bitcoin pulls back 10, 20%. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Give me a discount. Nobody wants to pay full price for anything, but for some reason, people really just want to go out and buy Bitcoin when it's up big on the day. I have friends that are calling me like, man, this Bitcoin is going higher. It's up 10% on the day. I should buy some, right? I'm like, no, don't do it. Don't be an idiot, because that's the same guy who's going to end up selling it when it crashes down 5%. That's what's amazing here, is somebody is totally excited about buying Bitcoin when it's up 10% on the day, but then as soon as Bitcoin pulls back 3%, they're like, oh, it's going down. I need to sell. And that's why we get these big drastic moves to the downside. You get the whales playing, but you also get people who have stop losses, people who are buying here at 10,000. Well, guess what? They all put their stop losses here at the $9,200, $9,000 area, and that's why we just washed right through there. And the smart buyers, the educated buyers, the people who are smart about trading Bitcoin, guess where they're sitting at? They're sitting there at the 200-day moving average. So if you guys aren't looking at the chart, you don't really have any idea, technical analysis, you don't need to be an expert here. You just need to pull up a chart. You can go to tradingview.com. There's a million charts. Everybody has ideas on there. You can read about ideas. You can look at the charts. You can see what's going on. You can see where the 200-day moving average is. You can see all this stuff. So ask yourself, the next time you really want to buy Bitcoin, look at the chart. Look at the price action. Is Bitcoin up big on the day? Is it up 10% on the day? Is it green? When's the last time Bitcoin pulled back? Like this move here. It went from 8,600 up there to 10,000. Do I really want to be buying, if I'm investing in Bitcoin long term? If you're trading Bitcoin, it's a different story. If you're trading Bitcoin, you're, in and out, day trader style, it's a different story. But if you're investing in Bitcoin long term and you're like, I want to buy right. I want to buy right here. No, don't do it. Listen to me, please. Listen to me here. Buy the dip, sell the rip. Buy the dip, sell the rip. So there it is. The number one rule about buying Bitcoin is buying the dip, selling the rip. What's going on? Bitcoin pulls back to the $8,000 area, that 200-day moving average, just like I talked about in the last video, that $8,000 area, there it is. We got it. It nailed it. It hit it perfectly. Now, like I said, is that to say that Bitcoin can't go lower from here? No, it does not. But for me, my whole goal is to basically put 10 to 20% of my net worth, whatever extra cash that I have, instead of buying Yeezys, instead of buying a Rolex, instead of buying some designer's clothing, I'm going to be totally fine with not owning a Rolex, not having Yeezys, and instead I'm going to own Bitcoin. So that $10,000 that I could buy a Rolex, well, guess what? Daddy's buying $10,000 worth of Bitcoin. Maybe it goes to zero, maybe. But let's be honest. If I bought a Rolex for $10,000, what does that Rolex do for me? Maybe it holds value. Maybe I'm investing in my Rolex long term. But in general, what is that really doing for me? So my plan, my goal, like I always say, is investing money into Bitcoin that I'm totally fine with losing, because I would not have that money if I bought something else. Instead of buying, I really don't buy that many things that are totally useless, so I can't have a good example. But if you're out there and you're buying Yeezys, you're buying this stupid crap, well, maybe you should think about investing that money, even not in Bitcoin. Invest that money in the stock market. Invest it some other places. Don't be the fool. Don't be the consumer in the world. That's what it comes down to. Don't be a consumer. Be an investor. So there it is, Bitcoin. We talked about it, $8,000 area, getting touched, nailing it. Ding, 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 ding. We're on a roll. If you guys haven't already, do me a big favor. Hit that like button, the subscribe button, all the buttons down below. I'll talk to you guys later on.